All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into prepping for a leather goods designer interview. And we've got all the RoleCatcher resources right here to help make sure we can nail it.
You know what's interesting about this? It's really not just about like reciting your resume or knowing the facts about leather. Interviewers in this field, they're looking for something deeper. They want to see the passion, the understanding, and even a little bit of that business savvy.
So it's like they want to know you can handle the design part, but also like fit into this whole world of fashion.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, where do we even start?
Well, the RoleCatcher Career Guide is awesome for this because it really lays out what a leather goods designer does day to day, like analyzing trends, creating entire collections, even the hands-on stuff like building prototypes.
Oh, so it's like way more than just sketching pretty bags.
Right. It's competitive out there, so you got to stand out.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Let's jump right into some of those interview questions because how you answer those is make or break. Like one they almost always ask, what inspired you to become a leather goods designer?
Okay, that sounds pretty basic though.
It is, but it's your first impression. And RoleCatcher says, don't just say, oh, I like leather. You got to make it memorable.
So instead of just saying, I like it,
hmm
what would be a better way to answer that?
Think about the moment you knew this was your path. Was there a designer who blew you away? A trip you took, maybe? Like imagine you wandered into one of those workshops in Florence. The smell of the leather, the tools, the way they hand stitch everything.
Oh yeah, like you can practically smell the leather just thinking about it.
Exactly. Paint a picture with your words.
That's so much better than just saying, I like it.
And you can tie it back to the bigger picture, too. How a good leather piece becomes an heirloom. The history, the craftsmanship.
So it's like you're showing them you get it. You
Mhm.
understand what makes this field special.
Right.
Okay, so we've got the inspiration part down. But fashion changes so fast. What about staying on top of trends?
Oh, they'll definitely ask about that. Something like, how do you keep up with the latest trends and innovations in leather goods design?
So how do you answer that one without sounding like you just read Vogue?
RoleCatcher recommends going deeper than just magazines, blogs, online communities. Find those Instagram accounts of artisans who are pushing boundaries.
So it's like showing you're in the digital world of leather too.
Exactly. Like maybe you follow a leather worker who's doing crazy stuff with sustainable dyes or 3D printing parts for their bags.
So you're not just following trends, you're finding the people making them.
Yeah, and you're actively engaging with it all.
I like that. Okay, so now let's get into the actual designing part. RoleCatcher mentions a question that's almost guaranteed. What is your design process for creating a new leather goods collection?
Ah, yes, the heart of it all. This is where you explain how you go from idea to finished product and how your brain works, basically.
But RoleCatcher also says to balance creative flair with practicality. How do you explain that in a way that makes sense?
So think about how you take those initial sketches and turn them into something real. Like you could talk about experimenting with different leather types, full grain versus top grain,
Got it.
and why you'd pick one over the other for a specific bag.
Oh, right, because each leather has different properties.
Yeah, and you've got to know which is best for the job.
So it's not just about making it pretty, it's making sure it works too.
Absolutely. You could even talk about how you test for wear and tear, how the stitching needs to be placed for strength, even where you put the hardware so it lasts.
You're like an engineer and an artist all at once.
In a way, yeah.
I feel like there's another question in here somewhere too. Like, how do you balance creativity and functionality in your designs?
Oh, yeah, that's a common follow-up for sure.
So it's like they want to dig deeper into your process.
And here's where you bring in specific examples from your portfolio. Like, let's say you design a minimalist wallet, super sleek and modern, but it still has to hold all your stuff.
So you explain how you made it look so simple, while still having enough space for cards and cash.
Yeah, maybe you use some clever folding technique or hidden compartments.
Oh, that's cool.
It's all about problem solving while staying true to your aesthetic.
So it's like showing you're not just artsy, you actually think things through.
Right.
Okay, now for a question that might feel a little tougher. Can you describe a time you face a design challenge and how you overcame it?
Ooh, yeah, this one can feel intimidating.
Because who wants to talk about their failures?
But it's not about the failure itself. It's about showing how you handle obstacles, your resilience.
So what kind of example would work for that?
Think about a time you had to get creative to solve a problem. Maybe a material wasn't working the way you expected. Or the manufacturing was more complex than you planned.
So it's like those moments where you had to think outside the box.
Exactly. Did you have to consult with other experts,
Yeah.
experiment with different techniques? Maybe you even collaborated with a leather artisan to figure something out?
So it's about showing you're willing to learn and adapt.
And that you don't give up easily.
That can-do attitude.
Right.
I bet those stories make you stand out too.
Definitely.
Okay, shifting gears a bit here. There's a question in the RoleCatcher guide about sustainability.
Ah, yes. How do you incorporate sustainability and ethical practices in your leather goods designs?
It seems like companies are really looking for designers who care about this stuff now.
Yeah, it's becoming super important.
So how do you answer that in a way that shows you're taking it seriously?
This is where you talk about eco-friendly materials. Like maybe you've worked with vegetable tanned leather, which uses natural tannins instead of harsh chemicals.
I was reading about that. It's supposed to be much better for the environment.
Right. You could also talk about sourcing from responsibly managed farms, places that treat their animals well.
And what about those new materials I keep hearing about, like recycled leather, or even plant-based leather made from pineapple fibers or mushrooms?
Oh, those are fantastic examples. If you've explored those, definitely mention them. It shows you're staying ahead of the curve.
It's not just about following the trends, it's about shaping them. Okay, so we've talked about inspiration, design, sustainability. Now what about the presentation part? Because RoleCatcher points out that you'll probably be asked about presenting your designs.
Oh, absolutely. Something like, tell us about a time you had to present your designs to a client or stakeholder. How did you approach the presentation and what were the outcome?
It's like they want to know you can communicate your vision.
Yeah, because the best design in the world won't sell itself. You have to be able to explain it and get people excited about it.
So how do you nail that part of the interview?
Think about the story you told, the key points you emphasized, how you tailored your message to the specific audience. Did you use visuals, prototypes, mood boards?
It's like painting a picture for them.
Yeah, and don't forget to mention the outcome. Was the client happy? Did it lead to a successful product launch?
So you're showing them that you can deliver results.
Right.
Oh, this is super helpful. But we haven't even touched on the technical stuff yet, like knowing about different leather types and their properties.
Oh, yeah, that's essential. You could talk about how you choose the right weight and finish for each product, how you inspect the hides for flaws, your knowledge of things like color fastness and abrasion resistance.
It's like you're proving you're a leather expert, not just a designer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And don't forget about the hardware, zippers, buckles, rivets, all those little details matter.
Maybe you could even mention doing your own stress tests on the hardware to make sure it can handle everyday use.
That's a great idea. It shows you're thinking about the longevity of your designs.
Now, before we move on to the next set of questions, I want to circle back to those AI tools from RoleCatcher because they sound pretty amazing,
They really are.
especially that part where the AI helps you tailor your answers and practice for specific job roles.
It's like having a personal interview coach. Like you can upload your resume and a job description, and the AI will analyze both and tell you how to improve your resume to match that specific job.
So it's helping you highlight the right skills and keywords.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just resumes. You can practice answering interview questions with their video tool, and the AI will give you feedback on your delivery, your word choices, even your body language.
Ooh, that's pretty intense.
It is, but it's super helpful, especially if you get nervous during interviews.
It's like having a virtual mirror.
Right. It helps you identify any areas where you can improve and project more confidence.
Okay, we've covered so much already. Inspiration design, process sustainability, even AI-powered prep tools.
And through it all, remember to let your passion shine through. Show them why you're the perfect fit for this role.
Awesome advice. Ready to dive into the next set of questions?
Let's do it. All right, let's tackle another one of those tricky interview questions. Can you tell us about a time you received negative feedback on your work? How did you handle it?
Oh, yeah, that one always makes me cringe a little.
It's definitely not fun to hear criticism.
Yeah.
But it happens to everyone, especially in creative fields, and how you handle it is really important.
So it's less about the feedback itself and more about your reaction.
Exactly. They're looking for maturity, professionalism, willingness to learn.
So what kind of answer are they looking for?
Did you listen objectively, consider the feedback thoughtfully, maybe even get some more perspectives from mentors or colleagues?
To really understand it from different angles.
Right.
So like, let's say someone told you a handbag design wasn't practical enough.
You could talk about how you took that feedback seriously, analyze the design, and maybe made some adjustments. like adding more compartments or a stronger strap,
So you're showing them that you can use criticism to improve.
and that you're not defensive about it.
That's a good point.
You're open to growth and see feedback as a way to refine your craft.
Okay, now let's talk about the future a bit, because RoleCatcher's guide mentions that interviewers are really interested in how you stay up to date, especially with technology and trends that are changing so fast.
Oh, yeah, they definitely want to see that you're thinking ahead.
And there's a sample question about that. How do you stay informed about emerging technologies and trends that could impact the future of leather goods design?
That's a good one. Because the fashion industry is constantly evolving, you can't just keep pace, you have to be looking ahead.
So what are some examples you could mention?
Well, RoleCatcher highlights things like 3D printing, virtual reality, even artificial intelligence.
Wow. So it's like the whole tech world is merging with fashion.
It is, and if you've been exploring any of those areas, definitely talk about it.
So it's not just about knowing the buzzwords. You have to show genuine interest, maybe even some hands-on experience.
Exactly, like maybe you've experimented with 3D modeling software to design custom hardware, or researched those biohead-based leathers made from innovative materials.
You're painting a picture of yourself as someone who's engaged with the future of design.
Right.
Okay, now for a fun one.
Oh, yeah, this is where you get to dream a little.
The question is, describe your dream design project. What kind of leather good would you create? And what would make it unique?
This is your chance to showcase your passion and originality.
Like, let loose and get creative.
Exactly. Think about a project that combines your personal interests with your design skills. Like maybe you're passionate about travel, and you'd love to design a line of smart luggage with built-in technology for tracking and security.
Oh, that's cool. Or maybe you're obsessed with a certain historical period, and you want to bring those elements into a modern collection.
Those are great examples. Just remember, it's not just about the idea itself. You have to show that you've thought about the target audience, the functionality, the overall impact.
So like the whole package.
Right.
Now, before we move on, I want to mention those AI tools from RoleCatcher again, especially the interview practice feature.
It's such a valuable resource.
Because imagine being able to practice your answers to these very questions and get feedback from an AI that analyzes everything.
It's like having a personal coach available 24/7.
And we all know practice makes perfect.
Or at least it helps a lot.
One of the things I find so cool is that it can even detect your emotional tone.
Oh, yeah. It can tell if you sound nervous or unsure of yourself.
And then it suggests ways to project more confidence and enthusiasm.
Which can make a huge difference in how you come across.
It's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Exactly. And that can be hard to judge on your own.
So having that AI feedback is super helpful.
Definitely.
Okay, so we've covered handling those tough questions, thinking about the future, and using AI to refine your interview skills.
And through it all, remember to be yourself. Let your passion shine through. Show them why you're the perfect fit for this role.
Great advice. Ready for the final stretch?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Okay, so we've talked about their questions, but now let's flip the script and talk about the questions you ask them.
Oh yeah, I always forget to think about that part.
It's easy to get caught up in just trying to answer everything perfectly, but remember, an interview is a two-way street.
So it's not just about them getting to know me, it's also about me figuring out if I even want to work there.
Exactly. And the questions you ask can say a lot about you. RoleCatcher's Guide really emphasizes this. Go beyond the basic stuff like salary and benefits.
So what kind of questions should I be asking?
Think about things that show you're really interested in the company and the role. Like you could ask about their design philosophy, their approach to sustainability, even their plans for the future.
Oh yeah, those are good ones. It shows you're thinking big picture.
Right. You could also ask about the team dynamic and how they collaborate.
Because who wants to work with a bunch of jerks?
Exactly. You want to know if you'd actually enjoy working there and if their style meshes with yours.
Another question I like is about professional development. Like, do they offer training or mentorship programs? Or encourage people to go to industry events?
That's a smart one. It shows you're invested in your growth and looking for a company that supports its employees.
Here's one that I think is really important. What are the company's values and how are they reflected in the workplace culture?
Oh, that's excellent. It shows you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a place where your values align.
And where you'd actually feel good about going to work every day. Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. From nailing those tricky interview questions to figuring out what to ask them, and even how AI can help us practice and improve.
It's all about being prepared and showing them who you are. Your passion, your skills, your values.
And remembering that this is a two-way street.
Right. You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
This has been such a helpful deep dive thanks to RoleCatcher's awesome resources. I feel way more confident about tackling these interviews now.
That's what we like to hear. Remember, you've got this.
So to everyone out there prepping for their leather goods designer interviews, good luck. And don't forget to let your passion shine through